ABC Radio. Colin Boyce, of course, is the federal LNP member for Flynn. Good morning to you.
Yeah, good morning, Paul.
Do you think this plan's going to work?
No, I don't.
Why not?
Well, I fail to see how putting a cap on coal prices in Queensland will affect the generation of electricity, the coal-fired generation of electricity in Queensland, given the fact that all of the government GOCs, with the exception of Gladstone Power Station, have long-standing coal contracts that are substantially less than commercial rate coal. If they don't have long-standing coal contracts, they've got their own coal mines and they only pay production costs for coal, not commercial rate. So the whole point to that is that putting a cap on coal prices won't affect the ability of coal-fired power stations to adjust their price. The reason that their price is manipulated is because the Queensland Government has loaded up these GOCs with a whole lot of debt, and they have to service these and therefore earn as much money as they possibly can. In respect to Gladstone Power Station, that supplies, it's Queensland's largest generator and supplies the industrial hub of Gladstone, the alumina industry, etc. It's owned by NRG and Rio Tinto and some Japanese companies. Rio Tinto, in their wisdom, sold all their coal interest years ago when coal was going to become a stranded asset. And with the benefit of hindsight, I can say they made some bad decisions in not locking in long-term, low-price coal contracts. So they are somewhat at the mercy of commercial rate coal prices.
I do want to get to the issue of Gladstone in a minute. You did touch on a very pertinent point there. I'm just curious, so given you don't think it's going to bring prices down, but this intervention in the market from the federal and state government, you don't think it's just not going to have an impact? Like, it's not going to have a negative impact either?
Not in Queensland. I can't possibly see how that's going to. What it will do is affect the Queensland's government's ability to implement their royalties tax on the coal industry. So what we're actually doing now is subsidising the Queensland Government through the federal government, and that's just madness. To manipulate the market is economic craziness, in my view. Why don't we put a cap on grocery prices? Why don't we put a cap on fuel prices? I mean, crude oil is trading at $70 US a barrel. Why is diesel $2.30? It's just, once you start manipulating market prices, you start interfering in all sorts of things and generating all sorts of things.
I should just point out, the Premier, Anastasia Palaszczuk, on Friday said that this wouldn't impact coal royalties because the large majority of our coal royalties come from exports. So, I mean, do you see how that is possible?
Well, again, I'm not sure exactly what the detail on this coal price cap is. Obviously, that will get discussed in Canberra on Thursday, I would imagine.
Yeah, and just to talk through this, I mean, I imagine, I know that sort of was rhetoric you're talking about in terms of putting price caps on different items, but I mean, isn't the idea here that if you bring down electricity prices are an input cost into pretty much everything in the Australian economy, and therefore if you bring down electricity prices, not only is it your household bill that you're bringing down, but also other items in the economy. Isn't there a benefit there?
Well, so the point to this, Paul, is I've been in business for a long time, and particularly in the cattle industry. If there's an oversupply of cattle, the price of beef comes down. If there's an undersupply, the price goes up. That's how it works. Supply and demand curve, it's called. So if we want to bring down the price of energy, how about we supply more gas and supply more coal into the market? That will bring the price down. Now, one of the problems we have in Australia is that New South Wales and Victoria have not developed their gas fields. They've been warned for many, many years that there would be these shortages and there would be these effects come to fruition, and that's exactly what's happening.
On that point, though, I mean, no one's been able to explain to me in a way that I understand how you can open up more coal and gas, but then not require it to be sold at a fair price into the Australian market, because there's nothing stopping these producers from just exporting it at the high international prices.
Okay, so again, with the benefit of hindsight, in respect to the Queensland Government. I was heavily involved in the gas industry years ago when it was being developed in, early 2000s, 2010 and so forth. The government, in their wisdom, failed to set aside enough domestic supply for gas. They rather sold all these gas tenements to the big companies. They obviously made deals with international people to contract the gas to make the whole system work, and that's what happened. And we've recently seen the government in the last several years understand that we need more domestic gas supply, and that's why some of the new tenements now have been reserved for domestic supply only. In Victoria and New South Wales, as I said, they have chronic gas shortages down there, but they haven't developed any of their gas reserves.
If I can get to the Gladstone Power Station issue, I'm really curious about this. What are we going to see here? Do we have any detail, given that the Queensland Government want to use their government-owned corporations' power to direct their own assets, so we're talking Stanwell, Callide, etc. They can direct them to do what they need, including putting that coal price cap on. But for Gladstone, I imagine they don't have that similar power. What do we think is going to happen there?
Well, as I said to you before, Gladstone is Queensland's largest generator, and it supplies all of the heavy industry at Gladstone. Approximately 80% of the power generation capability of Gladstone Power Station goes to the alumina industry and so forth. The surplus energy that is generated by the Gladstone Power Station is managed by CS Energy, which is government-owned corporation, and they manage that surplus supply into the grid. In terms of what happens with Gladstone and the price of generation there, all revolves around what it costs to fuel that power station in terms of coal and so forth. So I'm not aware of what their contracts are at the moment, but I do recall 6 months ago or thereabouts, Rio Tinto's CEO made a statement that basically said that they would be compliant with the federal government's 43% carbon emissions target. However, if the price of energy became too high or exorbitant, they would reconsider their position in terms of how they were doing their business. So where that actually stands at the moment is unknown.
All right. Further investigation required. Colin Boyce, if I can just also ask you about what may well be the journey of the last ever new coal-fired power generator in Australia, C4, of course, to replace the exploded unit, makes its journey tonight. Do you have many details about that path and what it's going to take to get it there?
Look, my understanding is there's three components there on the Gladstone Wharf: the turbine shaft, the generator, and the transformer. They are being barged up the port to Fisherman's Landing, I understand, where they'll be skidded onto road transport, and that road transport will then take those components up the Bruce Highway, around the Capricorn Highway, and around to Billawheeler that way, is my understanding. So that's due to happen tonight. It's the replacement generator is a huge piece of equipment. It's approximately 200 tonnes. The entire outfit that is transporting this, several trucks and big platform low loaders, weighs somewhere in the vicinity of 600 tonnes, the whole outfit, I'm told. So it puts some huge logistical problems on our road infrastructure, bridges and so forth, and that seems to have been of enormous concern to everybody involved.
Quite the sight to see if indeed you happen to be travelling on those roads tonight. Colin Boyce, really appreciate your time today. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul.
Colin Boyce is the LNP member for Flynn. Certainly exactly how Gladstone might end up producing lower cost energy under these plans will be an interesting one to watch. Still something I'm trying to figure out. We have put requests into Mick Brenny, the Energy Minister,